Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Oliver and on this channel we talk about education and early career development, specifically in Finland. And during these weekly live Q&A sessions, I answer your most burning questions about living, studying and working in Finland. And how these live streams actually work is in the description box below the video. There's actually a link to a Google form, and if you want me to answer any of your questions live, please post your questions into the Google form, again in the description box below. And this way I will have all of your questions on my computer, and I will be able to answer your questions in a first come, first served basis. Before we jump into the questions, first questions for this week, let me just really quickly share the live stream to our Discord server. And if you're not yet a member of our Discord server, I highly recommend that you join. Again, there is a link in the description box below. The idea of the server is to build a community of people interested in working and living, working and studying in Finland. And in the server, we basically have a bit more intimate conversations about these topics. And I post updates about upcoming videos and live streams there as well. So if you're interested in becoming a member of the community, again, there's a link in the description box below. Cool. Once again, if you are interested in getting your questions answered about living, working and studying in Finland, do post your questions into the Google form, which is again in the description box below. What's up, everybody? Awesome to have everyone here. To start the stream with a bang, Chet Gotti once again with a super sticker. Thanks, man. I do appreciate it. Funny faces. I guess funny faces would be. No, sorry, this way. I think. There you go. That's to start with the whole live stream by embarrassing myself. There you go, man. You have earned it. And by the way, Chet Gotti, welcome to the Fuxi freshman membership level. There's a number of perks that comes with a membership level. First of all, check out the YouTube community tab, where I have posted some of the behind the scenes videos as well as other cool stuff. And I hopefully will be able to start posting more behind the scenes videos in the future. I've been super lazy about this because it's been a bit of a busy few months for me, but thank you so much. Welcome to the membership, and thanks for the support as always. Also, welcome to everyone else to the stream. Bavia, awesome to have you here again. Alicia, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Eric, welcome. Hopefully you're doing awesome. Mediana, welcome to the stream as well. And Rishi Kasari, welcome once again to the stream. What's up, everyone? Let's jump into the first questions, and just to remind everyone about the questions. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, please post your question into the Google form, which is linked in the description box below. The reason I don't usually answer that many questions from the live chat is that it's quite difficult for me to follow the chat at the same time while I'm answering people's questions. So if you post your question into the chat, it's quite possible that I will miss your question completely. So just letting you know. All right, there was a couple of questions from last week, so let's start with those. And the first one comes from Sheila, who comes from Zimbabwe. And Sheila is starting school this semester, studying a master's in international business at the Central University of Applied Sciences, which is awesome. And her question is it possible to find a scholarship or funding after receiving the letter of admission to the university? And what are my options as an international student? Yeah, so this is a great question, or it's a very good question, but unfortunately the answer here is that unless the school itself has a scholarship program that you apply for only after you have been admitted, there are really no other options available, at least not from Finland itself. In Finland, generally speaking, every single scholarship that is provided to bachelor's and master's level students are provided by the universities themselves. And the majority of these scholarships you need to apply to or for with the application form that you also use for the admission. So if you miss this application, if you miss the scholarship application when you apply to study in Finland, there are really no other great options. Some countries I do know do have scholarship options for their citizens. For example, I know that Russia has national scholarships for Russian citizens who want to study in Finland. However, I don't have an extensive list of which countries do have, these kinds of scholarships. What I would recommend you to do if you really need to get some kind of financial support is to basically contact or Google your country's Ministry of Education and try to figure out whether or not they have some kind of a national scholarships for the citizens of your country. Great, great question, good start for the stream. Follow-up from Nolan, who comes from the USA, and Nolan has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland. And however, he's interested in doing a undergraduate or bachelor's degree in chemistry. And the question is, I read on a website while doing research that the undergrad portion of your bachelor's in Finland is free for all students, international or not. However, I've also read that international students, aka non-European Union students, as myself from the US, has to pay tuition fees. Well, which is it? I'm a little bit confused. So to be brief, is undergrad free for non-European Union students? No, it's not. So in Finland, if you want to study in free in either a bachelor's or a master's level degree, so in this case, of course, bachelor's meaning undergrad and then graduate meaning master's, if you come from outside the European Union, you have to pay tuition fees for both degree levels. And the studying in Finland, basically studying a university level degree, meaning bachelor's or master's, undergraduate, graduate, they do have, if you want to study them for free, you have to either be a Finnish national or a European Union or European Economic Area citizen. This includes Iceland and Switzerland. Then one more thing to the kind of definitions and vocabulary that we use here. You're, for example, talking about the undergraduate portion of one's bachelor's degree. So in Finland, we have a bit of a different system compared to, for example, the US. Basically, after high school, we either go to do our bachelor's or we stop studying. So when you get out of high school, you apply to a university or something called a University of Applied Sciences. In other words, it's basically a polytechnic school. However, it's a university, kind of a university level school. So the bachelor's degrees that we do in Finland, they're either 3 years or 3.5 years, basically, depending a bit on the school, and especially depending on whether you do a university level degree or university level bachelor's degree or a University of Applied Sciences level degree. So universities are academic, and universities of applied sciences are more practical, basically. I have a video explaining all the differences between these two institutions, so go ahead and check that out from my channel if you're interested. There's actually quite a bit of differences between the different schools and how they operate and what kind of career opportunities you have after graduating. So I really recommend that you go ahead and check it out. Alicia, I will see you later. Thanks for coming by, at least quickly. And I will see you later. Simon Richardson, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Simon actually has a very interesting question in the chat, which is basically, can you work remotely in Finland? Yes, you can work remotely in Finland. Of course, now the previous year has taught most organizations how to actually work remotely. However, if you are talking about working remotely from your home country for a Finnish company in Finland, that is not going to happen, especially unless you are very highly educated and you're basically a unicorn in your field. Finnish companies, as with most companies around the world, they prefer hiring a person physically to their location in that country. So working remotely for a Finnish company from your home country is not possible, at least for most people. And however, working remotely in Finland while staying in Finland for a Finnish company depends on how things develop next year. My guess is that many companies in Finland keep using some kind of remote working opportunities simply for flexibility and cost saving purposes. So those that want to work remotely might actually be able to do this even in the future. Hey Amir, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Muhammad Sabur, what's up? Welcome to the stream as well. Saba Haider, welcome to the stream as well. We have also Yusuf Vlogs, welcome to the stream, man. Well, awesome to have you here. Once again, now that people are actually coming in, once again reminding everyone that if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, there is a link to a Google form in the description box below. So post your question there and I will get to your questions in a first come, first served basis, basically in the order that they come in. So the faster you post your question into the form, the better. All right, the next question comes from Sandra Paul, who comes from India, and Sandra has not yet decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing a master's in office work. That's an interesting field. That's basically, I would guess, a master's in business, I would guess. There are no master's degrees in quote unquote office work or like general office management kind of stuff. But the question is, what are the top career courses in Finland for masters? That's actually a good question. And unfortunately, I have no idea what a career course means. So guys, if you actually know what Sandra is meaning here with a career course, C-A-R-R-I-E-R, carrier, just like a carrier, like the ship, carrier ships. What is a career course? If you can explain that to me in the chat, I will be able to answer Sandra's question. But for now, I have no idea because I've never heard of this concept before. The next question comes from Himanshu Jain, who comes from India also. And Himanshu is starting school this semester, studying a bachelor's at Aalto University in the program of Digital System and Design. Nice. And the question is, searching for rooms with AYY, which is the Aalto University Student Union, and HOAS, which is a non-profit organization providing student apartments for students in the Helsinki region or the metropolitan area. And the question is, but which types of rooms and areas? Right, all right, so recommendations for types of rooms and areas to apply for. My recommendation is that apply for every single apartment type that you can and to every single area that you can. HOAS and AYY both, usually when they offer apartments for their applicants, they try to give them locations that are good for them depending on the school. However, the reason for applying for basically everything that is available, there's basically a couple of reasons. First, there are not enough apartments for everyone, so some people are going to be left without apartments. From here, we basically go to the reason that the more picky you are, the less likely it is that you will be actually offered an apartment. So if you basically just choose a single area or two areas because they are close to the campus, it might be that they simply don't have any vacant apartments there. And a lot of people want to live in some of the more popular areas, so the queues might be very long, meaning that you might not be able to get a student apartment at all. So apply for every single type of apartment in every single area. HOAS and AYY both have very, very good locations. All of the apartments are very nice, very affordable. So just apply for everything. That's what I did when I applied for our apartment. So just, do as I tell you. Hey EVM, saying that, hi Oliver, have a good stream. Thank you very much. Hopefully you would be able to hang out for a while. Anyways, moving on, the next question comes from Eric. Eric from South Africa specifically. We have had a couple of Erics in the stream lately. And as a refresher to everyone, Eric is a regular on the channel and he's coming to Finland to work in the IT field. And the question is, this might be difficult or impossible to answer, but in your recruitment experience, so basically for those of you who didn't know, I actually used to work for 4 years in the Finnish recruitment market, not as a recruiter. So I'm not a recruiter. However, basically in the marketing sectors or in a marketing position, in a managing marketing position. So I do have a lot of insight into the recruitment market. Anyway, back to Eric's question. In your recruitment experience, how long did it take on average to place a Finnish applicant in a new position? And based on that, could you guess how long it will take a foreigner to be placed in an IT position? I know it's most likely not possible to answer this, but what is your gut feeling? Right, so I would say that Actually, Eric, this is a very good question, and I can give you a bit of context. Of course, it's impossible to give you a specific answer here. However, there are a couple of benchmarks that we can take into account here. So first of all, to be honest, there isn't really any difference between a Finnish person and an international person getting a job. You know, as a general rule of thumb, there are no differences there. The only thing that makes a difference here is that there are more available jobs that for those who speak Finnish, so that is going to impact it. However, I do know a lot of international students or graduates who have gotten a job way faster than many of my Finnish-speaking study friends from school, for example. So I don't think it's a question about your nationality or your language skills. Rather, it's the ability and your knowledge about the Finnish recruitment market and how and when and where to apply. So I would say that this is the biggest impacting factor. Then, if you want a good benchmark or a benchmark based on experience, I actually did an interview with a very highly experienced entrepreneur and current kind of recruitment entrepreneur in Finland, Steven der Horst, who comes from the Netherlands, and he has years and years and years of experience in the Finnish job market. And he's in the interview, he basically said that when an international student specifically comes to Finland, they should prepare to start looking for a job around half a year before they actually need it. I think that this is a pretty pessimistic assessment. However, I think that it's also based on experience. Having said this, in the IT field, especially since you're not coming here to study, but rather you're coming to work, I think your process is going to be much faster as long as you know where to look from and what you're actually looking for. Of course, a selfless plug, the job hunting course that I'm working on is going to help you a lot, because there are so many different things there that you will need to know, or are going to help you at least speed up the process. So selfless plug there. If you know what you're doing, and if you are really proficient at what you do, and if you have expertise in a niche within the IT sector that is actually in demand, we can talk about a month is the shortest period, I would say. But I would say that if you know what you're doing, a month to 3 months would be a more realistic assessment, I would say. Why a minimum of a month? A month is usually the minimum time that it takes for a Finnish company to go through the entire recruitment process, starting from publishing the ads, interviewing, case assignment, etc., plus then all the paperwork. So there, I think that this would be a good benchmark. So from around 3 months, I would say, would be a good benchmark. Anyway, hopefully that gives you a bit more context. Again, of course, giving exact numbers is a bit difficult. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, the next question comes from Bavia. Bavia is also a very regular person on the channel, which is awesome, and a regular person on the channel. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, Bavia is from India and applying to study a master's in management and business at the Aalto University School of Business. And there's a couple of questions here. First of all, hey Oliver, hopefully you're doing well. I am. Thank you very much. This is a really important question for me as I decide to do the GREs. Right, the GREs. All right. Is it better to pursue an MBA from Aalto Business School, Finland, or should I consider taking an MBA in more developed economies like the US, Canada, etc.? What do you think are the perks of Aalto over B schools in US and Canada? Great question. So first of all, what I would say here is that this, of course, depends on the financial situation as well as your preferences. So unless you're applying for the top tier Ivy League schools in the US or Canada, the level of education is not going to be that much different. I would say that in Finland, especially at Aalto University, the level of education is actually higher than in many of the super top tier schools in the US or in Canada. Also, education in Finland is actually quite affordable when you compare it to, for example, the US and Canada. Not only in tuition fees, but for example in the living costs. So, for example, if you go to UCLA, the University of California, Southern California, I think, the cost of living there in California in general is extremely expensive. So basically, you can basically spend the same amount of money in living cost in California that you spend in tuition fees in Finland. So, you know, that's there. Also, do actually take into account, Bavia, specifically again here, kind of talking about the definitions. Is at Aalto University, you actually do not do an MBA. So. MBA degrees in Finland are very, very rare. So Masters in Business Administration degrees, MBAs as they are abbreviated, are done in Finland as a supplementary degree if you already have years and years and years of work experience. So if you come to Aalto University to do a business degree, you would be doing a Master's in Science in Business, in Economics and Business Administration. There are few key differences here. First of all, a master's degree versus an MBA. Master's degrees are more academic and they go deeper into your own field, whereas MBAs are more generalized for business management and they cover many more topics than a master's degree. So for example, if you want to do a master's degree in finance and you don't necessarily want to become a general manager in a large company, then I would recommend that you do a master's degree, because those go way deeper and they actually give you more proficiency in that specific field. Compared to, for example, if you already have a bachelor's degree and you have, for example, 10 years of experience in the finance industry, and then you just want to do a master's level degree so that you can actually move forward in the corporate ladder to more managerial positions. In that case, an MBA might be a bit better, a better option. However, if you want to do an MBA specifically, Aalto University or none of the other Finnish universities are actually the real option. There is something called Aalto University Executive Education, which Aalto Executive Education, AEE, you can Google that. It's a part of Aalto University, but it's separate from the university, and they actually have a MBA program. But again, that's a completely different thing from a master's degree in Finland when you compare, if you look at the definitions. So of course, I would say that come to Finland. Not only is the level of education excellent, but the level of the quality of life here is tremendous. If you think about even Canada or the US, I would actually say that Canada is more comparable to Finland in terms of quality of life. Plus, the career opportunities here are also excellent. Of course, in the US, in the Canada, if you, for example, want to work in the financing sector, sure, they have the biggest companies, they have they have more opportunities per se when we're talking about numbers. However, there's really nothing you cannot do in Finland either. So, of course, I'm biased. Take this into account. Then the second question was, what is in your view better? Should I do the GRE or GMAT? I have no comments here. I've never done either of them. I have no experience in either, or expertise in either. So I simply cannot comment here. Any suggestions? If any other suggestions, if you have for me, would be appreciated. Yeah, I could talk about this for ages, especially about the studies at Aalto. However, I think that it's better for me to jump into the next question. And if you have any more specific questions that you have for me, fire away. However, I think that instead of talking about this for an hour, I will move into the next questions. And yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. Actually, Amir Aziz is saying in the chat, referring to the previous question, if anyone wants to study in California, he or she should have a job there if they want to survive. Yeah, this is actually something that I've heard from a couple of friends of mine who have studied there. Living in California is freakishly expensive. It's just so darn expensive. And the one thing that I would love to do a video about or of is the cost of living and salaries, taxes, and the cost of living compared between US, Canada, and Finland. Of course, a lot of people think that they should move to the States because they have lower personal income taxation compared to Finland, but that's not the whole truth, basically. So when you go to the US, for example, just considering insurances, co-pays, and medical costs, if you have any kind of a medical issue that you need to deal with, for example, asthma, which is very, very common, it's going to be extremely expensive to live in the US. If you have absolutely no medical issues whatsoever, then of course it's cheaper. But then compared to Finland, where medical costs and public healthcare is taken care of by the public healthcare system, once you have gotten your permanent residency here, there's just so many different things that you have to take into account, and personal taxation is not the whole deal. There's so many other things that you need to take into account in your personal finances when you think about these two countries. All right, the next question comes from Mihail Nadirats, who is also a regular on the channel. Awesome to have you here again. And the question, Mihail comes from Georgia, starting school this semester at the Hanken School of Economics, studying a master's in finance/accounting, which is awesome. And the question is, hey Oliver, hopefully you're doing well. Thank you very much. I am. Hopefully you're doing well, good as well. Can you tell me if it's possible to rent a furnished shared room as a degree student? If it is not, can you give any tips on how to furnish the room, where to get furniture, and etc.? Yeah, sure. There are some options for furnished rooms for degree students, so non-exchange students. As context here for everyone else, in Finland, when you look for student apartments, most student apartments actually come unfurnished. There are some furnished apartments available as well, but actually the majority of those are for exchange students. So most people who come to Finland to study a full degree, they have to get an unfurnished apartment. So there are multiple different avenues or places to get your furniture from if you want to get them, for example, second hand. Of course, one great option is IKEA. It's cheap as and there is actually an IKEA in the metropolitan area. You will need a van, or you need to order delivery to your home. However, if you want to use it, it's actually quite affordable. Plus, the selection is really, really good. Let's actually see. I have a video about saving money as a student in Finland. Just a moment, I will pull it out. I just want to show you a couple of links here. All right, so there are a couple of organizations/stores that I would recommend for you if you come to the Helsinki region. The first one is Kierrätyskeskus. Direct translation would be Recycling Center, which is a private organization that basically buys used secondhand stuff, and then they resell them for a very affordable price. And for some reason, it doesn't load up. Weird. Never mind, let's skip that for a second. And the second is actually called Reuse and Rescue. This is especially good for anyone studying at Aalto University or in any of the universities in the Helsinki metropolitan area. It's actually a second-hand shop run by Aalto University students at the Aalto University campus in Otaniemi. And you can check out their Facebook page and actually try to get as a member there. And it's a really, really, really cool store where you can not only find furniture, but you can also find cutlery, books, this kind of stuff. So basically everything that you need to get your apartment furnished. All right, now we have the Kierrätyskeskus. Unfortunately, their website is mostly in Finnish, which sucks. However, you can find their contact information here from the myymälöiden yhteystiedot, which is the store contact information. And you can actually see the opening times Monday to Friday, 10 to 8, Saturdays 10 to 6, Sundays 12 to 6. And they have multiple shops around the Helsinki region. So I think that this is the best place to actually get your stuff furnished or furniture. However, you would need to get a van, rent a van. That's actually really easy. Just Google rent a van Helsinki and you will find a couple of different companies that rent vans for very cheap prices. So that's cool. Then one more thing, one more tip that I would give you: when you actually get an apartment offer and you then accept it, for example, say from HOAS, most HOAS or buildings actually have their own Facebook groups where their tenants can actually, chat about things, and HOAS informs them about different kind of things. And many people actually leave adverts into those Facebook groups where they tell them, okay, I have a bed free, I have a cupboard, I'm moving out, you can come and get them for 20 euros or, for a pack of coffee or something like this. So that's actually a very good way to do it. However, you have to keep a very good eye on the groups, because the stuff moves really, really fast. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of context to around the question. Anyway, the next question from the form, again, reminding everyone, if this is especially if this is the first time that you're joining the stream, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, there is a link to a Google form in the description box below. And if you want me to answer your questions live, please post your questions into the Google form. That way I will have all the questions here in front of me on the computer, and I will be able to answer the questions in the order that they come in. If you post your question into the chat, it is most likely, quite likely that I will miss your question, because it's very hard for me to keep an eye out on the chat while I'm talking. All right. Anyway, the next question from the form comes from Amir, who comes from Luxembourg. And Amir has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing a PhD in computer sciences at Aalto University. Interesting. And the question is, why software engineer salaries are very, very low compared to other countries like Switzerland and the US, and will their salaries raise? So that's actually a very interesting question that you're putting out here, Amir. First of all, you have to take into account that Switzerland is extremely expensive, and the level of salaries in Switzerland are higher than basically anywhere in the world. So comparing Swiss salaries to any other European country, or for example the US, is the worst way to go. They are non-comparable. Just thinking about the living cost, the cost of living in Switzerland, that raises your salaries way high. I have a couple of friends, one from business school, and actually one a friend of mine who is a watchmaker, who's works in Switzerland, and they have told me about the level of living cost, the cost of living in Switzerland, and the subsequent high salaries there. So don't even try to compare the salaries in Switzerland to Finland. They're non-comparable. There's just no way to compare. The cost of living is completely different, taxation is completely different, etc. It's a completely different system. Also about the US, again, we come to what I said just a moment ago. The actual, the gross salaries in the US are higher. That is true, especially if you work in California or New York, in these massive technology hubs. However, you have to take into account that living in the US is much, much, much more expensive than in Finland. Not only in California, it's basically impossible to find a flat of your own under $1 million US. The cost of living in California is absolutely insane. Then on the other hand, you have to take into account the cost of healthcare, which is absolutely insane in the US as well. While in Finland, we have a public healthcare system. Once you get a permanent residency here, you're able to get basically free healthcare. So that's non-comparable to the US, where you might have to pay thousands of euros for even going to the emergency room. That's completely free in Finland. Then cost of utilities is completely different in the US. For example, in Finland, I have a non-limited subscription plan on my phone. That's 5G. It's unlimited data, unlimited calls, unlimited phone calls, and SMS. It's 24 euros 95 cents or something per month. Limited everything, and the speeds are incredible. I have a friend in Canada who's from Canada, and he told me that if he would want to get a similar plan in Canada, the US is even more expensive. He would have to pay at least $150 per month for same kind of subscription, and he would have limited data. I'm sorry, limited. I have limitless. So unlimited, I'm sorry, I have unlimited data here. So comparing salaries between the US, Switzerland and Finland is just, there's no point of doing that because the cost of living in these different countries, these three countries, couldn't be further away from each other, especially when comparing Switzerland and any other European country. So just take that into account. I would not compare these with each other. The amount of stuff that you get for free, paid by taxes in Finland, is incredible compared to any of the other countries. So, take that into account. Great question, though. Hopefully I didn't come off too negative. Anyway, the next question comes from Saba from Pakistan. And Saba has not yet decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing a PhD also at the University of Helsinki. Cool. And specifically in business administration. All right. First of all, I have to say the University of Helsinki does not have a faculty of business. They do have a faculty of economics. However, well, it's not a faculty of economics. They do have a department of economics. However, they do not have a faculty of business, which would have then, like, for example, the field of business administration. So if you want to do a PhD in business, you would need to apply for Aalto University. Aalto University has the best business school in Finland, and their PhD programs are excellent. So take that into account. Then the question is how to get admitted to Finland for a PhD without IELTS and with a scholarship. So, all right. So these are two different things. So let's take this one by one. So first of all, about the IELTS or TOEFL or any other language proficiency test, please note that the different language requirements for PhD programs depend on each university. So you have to check the requirements for PhD programs from the website of each university that you want to apply to. For example, so if you, for example, want to do a PhD in business and economics in Aalto University, you would then, let's see, you need to do a language proficiency test. So either IELTS, TOEFL, you can do a C1 advanced, C2 proficiency, or Pearson's. So basically, if you want to study a PhD in Aalto, you have to do some kind of a language proficiency test. There's no way to go around it. There might be some universities in Finland that do not require language proficiency tests. I don't know of any, so you need to check them out individually. So that's just something that you need to do. You have to take into account that the universities they have to test your language proficiency before they admit you in, because they need to know that you are able to actually success in your studies, which requires English, a very good proficient English language skills. So that's that. Then about the scholarships. So this is actually a more complicated topic. So in Finland, PhD student positions are paid. And what I mean with paid positions. So first of all, PhD positions in Finland do not have any kind of tuition fees. So studying, being a PhD student in Finland doesn't cost you anything. However, they are not fully paid, meaning that you have to finance your own research. So if you, for example, want to do a PhD in business, the PhD can last from 4 to 5 to even 6 years, depending on your research. So let's say that, for example, your research takes in total 5 years. Some universities in Finland are able to support their students, PhD students, for the first year. So for example, if I remember correctly, do check this individually. So this is not, don't quote me on this. However, if I remember correctly, Aalto University pays for their PhD students or for their research for the first year. And after that, you need to find financing for your research on your own. How you do this is there are a bunch of individual third-party organizations, funds, individuals who fund academic research in specific fields. And for example, Aalto University, if you just Google Aalto University PhD business, you will find a page from Google results where they actually list out different organizations that fund academic research in those fields. You basically need to apply for the funding each year and just make sure that you have enough funding to basically pay your salary. So just take into account. Apologies. So yeah, for example, my brother, he's doing his PhD at the University of Eastern Finland, and he has already had to apply for multiple rounds of financing for his studies because their school is not able to fund their students' PhD all the way through. So there you go. All right, before I jump into the next question, just want to say hey to some of the people who have joined the stream. Parmar Mukesh, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Kira, welcome to the stream as well. Joseph Matondang, welcome to the stream as well. Awesome to have you here. Nader, I don't think I said hey to you as well. What's up? Scarlett, well, what is up? Hopefully you're doing great or awesome. We have Abrar and we have Dobry2378. Welcome to the stream as well. If you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer live, please post your question into the Google form, which is located in the description box below. If you post your question into the live chat, it is quite likely that I will miss your question simply because the chat gets quite busy and it's very difficult for me to keep an eye out on the chat while I'm talking. So if you want me to answer your question live for sure, then post your question into the Google form, which is in the description box below. Talking of which, the next question from the forum comes from Yusuf Na, who comes from Iraq. And Yusuf is still in high school, interested in a degree in medical, in a bachelor's degree in the field of medical and healthcare. And the question is, hey, I come from Iraq and I will study biology in Finnish language. So what's up? I come from Iraq and I would be interested in studying biology in the Finnish language, and how much would this cost? The second question is, can I stay in Finland after graduation for work? All right, so there's a couple of things here that we need to talk about. Great questions. Thank you so much for asking them, Yusuf. First of all, if you study in Finnish in Finland, there are no tuition fees, so it doesn't cost anything. Having said this, I cannot recommend to anyone who is not either native speaker of Finnish or Swedish that you would try to study in Finland in Finnish. The reason is that it's not possible. If you want to study in Finland in Finnish, you would need to speak pretty much native level Finnish in order to even be able to apply. Even if you speak native Finnish, you will have to go through a very rigorous entrance exam process in which you compete for the spots against native Finnish and Swedish speakers. The reason I'm saying Swedish is because Finland has two official languages, Finnish and Swedish. And people can apply to study either in Finnish or Swedish. However, if you do not speak Finnish natively, statistically speaking, it is not possible for you to get a study place in Finnish university in Finnish. So I actually have a video about this where I go in more detail if you want to check it out from my channel. However, my recommendation is that if you want to study in Finland, apply for the English language programs and study really, really hard in high school, and then study really hard for your SATs. That's the best way for you to actually get to study in Finland. Then the second question is, one more thing about that. If you study in Finland in English, which 99.something% of international students do, we do have tuition fees if you're not a European Union citizen. The amount of tuition, how much the tuition fees are, depends on the school and the program that you apply to. As an example, Aalto University, which is the best university in Finland in the fields of business, engineering, and arts and design, or business technology and arts and design, the tuition fees for Aalto University are for bachelor's degrees are 12,000 euros per year. However, that is one of the most expensive universities in Finland, and the tuition fees for bachelor's level degrees go all the way down to, I think, 6,000 per year. So check them out. You need to check each university for their tuition fees. So that's there. Then the second question was, can I stay in Finland after graduation for work? Yes, you can. If you find a job after, at latest after a year after graduation, yes, you can stay in Finland for work. In addition, you can also start working in Finland before you graduate. So if you find a job already before graduation, you can also then stay in Finland after graduation. So yeah. Right. Actually, we have a really interesting comment in the chat. Mr. Dobry2378 says that I have a Finnish friend native who's a Finnish native speaker, and she struggles at times. Yeah, that's right. Even Finnish nationals are not guaranteed a study place in a university. Depends on the school, but the percentage of applicants taken in each year from Finnish Finnish-speaking people is around 10%. So 1 out of 10 gets into the university. And this is those who actually speak Finnish. So I actually had to apply to study, actually had to apply to Aalto University twice. First time I didn't even get close, and then the second time I studied for the entrance exams for 5 months straight, around 11 hours per day. And I then, I got super high points and I got to Aalto University. However, the first year I didn't even get close. So even as a native Finnish speaker, it is not easy to get into many of the universities here. So just take that into account. Then the next question comes from Yusef, who comes from Egypt. And Yusef has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a bachelor's in computer sciences. And the question is, can I study the bachelor's degree in Swedish language for free? The same thing here. No, you can't, unless you're a native Swedish speaker. Plus, one more thing that you have to take into account, there's only I'm not actually even sure if we have any Swedish speaking computer science degrees in Finland. The reason that you are allowed to apply to study in Finland in Finnish universities in Swedish is because Swedish is an official language in Finland. So those Finnish nationals who speak Swedish as their native tongue, they have to have a legal right to apply to study in their own, to apply to university in their own language. However, I don't know if there are any Swedish language courses in Finland, especially in computer sciences. Again, doesn't matter if you're not a native Swedish speaker. It will not matter because you will not be able to get into the university in Finland. So apply in English if you're not a native Finnish or Swedish speaker. Just, forget about studying in Finnish. There you go. Actually, Yusuf saying in the chat, I will study Finnish for a year, then I will get the exam for college. So I think it's possible. Unless you are a prodigy in languages, I don't recommend it. Studying Finnish for a year is not going to be enough. I'm sorry, it's not possible. It simply isn't possible. You're going to waste a year of your time. Of course, it's good to study Finnish if you want to study in Finland in general. However, studying Finnish for a year is not going to be enough. Couple of reasons why it is. I have to explain how the entrance exams work. So the entrance exams for Finnish universities are based on two alternative ways. Either they are based on your Finnish high school final exams, and nowadays most of the people who go to university actually get there based on their high school final exams. This means that there's only a small percentage of people, Finnish applicants, who get to study in universities through the university entrance exam. Depending on the school, it's less than 50% who get in through the entrance exam. These entrance exams are based on Finnish high school books or Finnish high school curriculum, depending on where you apply to. For example, if you want to study business, you need to study, for example, history and what is this called? There are a bunch of different fields that you need to study. For example, you need to study mathematics in Finnish. So basically the curriculum for the exam is based on Finnish high school. So basically, not only do you not speak Finnish natively, while everyone else speaks Finnish natively. Second, those who are Finnish, who apply through the entrance exam, have already studied the same books that they will use for the entrance exam at least 3 years. The thing is which makes this even worse, is that the actual themes or the books that the entrance exams are based on are only published a few months before the entrance exam, and you cannot get them. You can buy them online, but they are only in Finnish and Swedish. So you only have a few months of time to study these books by heart. There are multiple books. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages that you need to study by heart, and you need to not only understand them in language, so you will need to be very, very proficient in Finnish in order to even understand the books, but you will also need to know how to apply the information that you get. So it's not enough to learn a couple of mathematical it's not enough to learn a couple of pieces of numbers in by heart. You actually have to understand the content, and you have to be able to apply the content to the questions. The questions that most universities use are multiple choices, and they're extremely difficult. They are very nuanced, and unless you speak native level Finnish, you will most likely not even understand the questions. So that's the thing. That's the reason why I tell you it's not possible to get through the entrance exams in Finnish unless you're a native level speaker. It's simply not possible. I don't recommend it. You have to take into account that even 9 out of 10 Finnish native speakers do not get into the university of their choice, even if they have studied the topics already for 3 years in high school and they speak native Finnish. It's not possible. There are, of course, individual exceptions, of course there are, but I would not recommend it to anyone. I would recommend against it. It's much easier. It's much, much easier, statistically speaking, for you to study really hard for the SATs, get a really high score in SATs, and get to an English taught program, and get a scholarship at the same time. So if your incentive is to study in Finland for free, it is statistically easier to get a scholarship by doing really well in the SATs. Don't apply to study in Finland in Finnish, you're wasting your time. All right, there. Sorry, rant, I had to get it out because I don't want people to waste their time on this, it's seriously. And even if you get through the entrance exam, you would have to be able to go through your studies, 5 years of your studies in Finnish. No, don't do it. It's not possible. The next question actually comes from a Finnish national, Levon. Levon has been on the streams regularly, which is awesome. Hopefully, by the way, the exams went really well. I guess you just got your exam results. I would love to hear how they went. Levon is still in high school, applying for a bachelor's in Aalto, studying data sciences. And the question is, I want to start a business with a friend of mine in the local town since I didn't find a summer job for the experience. Building and fixing computers would be the business model. And do I need to register my business as an official company, or would it just be easier to not register at all? And is this possible for someone underage? Yeah, great question. You still need to register the company. It's actually quite easy. It's quite easy. Just ask your parents, for example, to help you. Do note that it costs a bit, depending on what kind of a company you want to set up, from €100 to a couple of €100 for the paperwork and the registration. And I would recommend that you actually ask for your parents for help to go through the paperwork. It's actually not that big of a deal. However, do note that since you have to put together a company, you also need to start taking care of your accounting, so all the invoices, receipts, and etc. And I would hire someone to do that for you. Don't try to do it on your own, especially if you don't have any experience, if your parents don't have any experience. So there's a lot of things that you need to take into account. If your parents, for example, don't have any experience in this kind of entrepreneurial world, and you want some support, you can send me a message, and I can try to guide you with some of the basic stuff. However, I don't really have the time to go through everything, step by step. But definitely, yeah, set up a company, because you need to pay taxes for the business that you do, and that's separate from your personal income. All right. Let's see. right, the next question comes from Harshita, who comes from India, and Harshita is applying to do a bachelor's in business administration in international business, awesome, and in any of the schools in Helsinki region, nice. And the question is there any January intakes available for the course I want to apply to, and can you suggest me to those universities? Thank you. Yeah, so this is actually a good question, and Harshita, I think that it's you who are asking the same question also in the chat. I do apologize if it's not the same person. So in Finland, we have basically only one intake per year, depending on whether you apply for masters or bachelors. For bachelors, the application starts in December and ends in January. And for masters, it starts in January and ends, I think, early February. However, that is kind of the normal way to apply. So there is an exception that I would recommend you to check out. First of all, hashtag this is not sponsored. For the regulars, you guys know this. But if you want to still apply for the January intake or the September intake, which starts, for the September intake, the only way for you to do that at this point is to apply through Edunation. So Edunation is a super quick summary. It's a Finnish company that offers kind of an alternative way to apply to study in Finland. It's an alternative way for international students to apply to study in Finland. And they do have, they have a number of partner universities. Hello. There you go. They have a bunch of partner universities and universities of applied sciences that you can see here. And for example, if you go from here, you can see their study programs here, for example, business and management. And all right, there is a problem with their website. There you go. And you can actually see here bachelor's programs. And if you open this up, you can actually see that there is a bunch of different bachelor's programs that you can apply through them or their partner universities. And the cool thing about the partner universities that you can apply to through Edunation is that they actually have more frequent and they have longer and more frequent application periods compared to every other university in Finland. So for example, if you want to study a bachelor's in business administration in international business, that would be, for example, HAMK, University of Applied Sciences. Their application, need to send them a message about this guy. What is happening? There you go. Their application actually was just closed. All right, that sucks. It was just closed, but they have a much longer application period compared to other universities in Finland. Again, normally when you apply to study in Finland to do a bachelor's, the application period is between December and January. So this is much, much, much longer. However, do note that generally speaking, the academic year in Finland starts in September, and there are very, very small amount of programs that start in January. Most January intakes are exchange students or are for exchange students. However, I would recommend that you go through the different programs that Edunation's partner universities offer. And actually, if you want to, make this a bit easier for you, send them an email. So go to edunation.co and look for their contact information and send them this question via email and tell them that Oliver said hi. We've been talking about I've been talking with their founders for quite a while now, so they know who I am. So just tell them hi from me and ask your question via email, and they will be able to help you. Cool. The next question comes from Agiles Vuda. Agiles, is it just a hard G, Agiles or Agiles? Agiles Vuda, who comes from the Netherlands. And Agiles is still in high school, not sure which school he wants to apply to, but is interested in a bachelor's in biology. Awesome. The question is, can I use Swedish as an alternative to breaking the Finnish language barrier, for example, working at a grocery store or on Finnish websites? Yeah, sure. Depending, of course, on the context, but this is actually a very interesting question. So, yeah, definitely. So, if you, for example, want to work in a grocery store, Swedish is going to definitely be an advantage, but you have to take into account that even though Swedish is an official language in Finland, only a very handful of people, we have 5.5 million citizens or people living in Finland. Only a very few, a small percentage of Finnish people actually speak Swedish. I actually used to speak fluent Swedish when I was in preschool, but I no longer can speak Swedish almost at all. I understand it quite well. However, I haven't used it for years anywhere except in school. So yeah, definitely speaking Swedish will help you. However, not in every single context. However, if you have a combination of English, good English, you guys in the Netherlands, you speak excellent English. So combination of your level of English and then Swedish, it's going to be excellent. And I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of different opportunities for not only for part-time jobs, but then in your career as well. So definitely going to be good. Also talking about your field, biology, for example, if you want to work in the university or for example in any of the any kind of a research institute in Finland or in the Nordics in general or in Scandinavia, of course speaking Swedish, fluent Swedish is going to help you a lot, because basically the only people who cannot speak to you in their own native tongue is Finnish people. I actually used to speak such good Swedish that I was able to speak with Norwegians quite well. We actually understood each other quite well, and we could actually communicate with each other, so without any problems. But yeah, definitely, if you know Swedish really well, then that's going to be definitely a positive. There's an interesting question in the chat from Adnain, who's asking, does Finland recognize the professional license diploma, like professional bachelor? That's actually an interesting question. I have no idea. Depends on the field, I guess, and depends on the job that you're applying to, but it doesn't ring a bell. So in Finland, usually if you want to do a professional education, meaning that would basically mean a vocational education. So for example, examples of vocational degrees would be if you want to become a plumber, if you want to work in construction, if you want to well, for example, a bachelor's level vocational degree, quote unquote. If you want to do a degree in University of Applied Sciences, you could, for example, work as an accountant. That is not a university level degree. So it depends on what you mean with that. However, because it doesn't ring a bell, it might not be that common in Finland. However, it does not say that it's not recognized. However, it depends on the field. So Adnan, if you want to elaborate a bit more on that topic in the chat, what do you mean with that? Try to be as plain as possible. Explain that to me as you would for a child, and maybe I will be able to elaborate a bit more on the topic as well. Interesting question though. Trade schools, right? If Jet Koti is correct and you mean trade schools, then most likely yes. Unless, most likely yes, unless you're talking about the healthcare industry. For those, most likely not, because it's very, very heavily regulated. And if you want to work in the Finnish medical industry or healthcare industry, you need to have a degree in Finland, from Finland. Anyway, moving on to the next question, which comes from Selin from Turkey. And Selin is applying to study a master's in social work or social services in the Jyväskylä University of Applied Sciences. And the question is, can a non-European Union social worker find a job in Finland after graduation? Or should I be fluent in Finnish? That's actually a good question. Depends on what kind of a job you're working on and what kind of a degree you're doing. So again, we kind of go back to what I just said about the health care sector or industry, which is very, very heavily regulated in Finland. So certain kind of jobs, for example, in the social sciences or social work, do require you to speak at least B2 level Finnish. However, those are usually mentioned on the university application website if they are. And if they are required for to work professionally in Finland, but they are not required for you to apply to school, that is also usually mentioned on the university website as well. And if it's not required for the application, but it is required for your work, then that means that you will have to study Finnish in school, at the university. However, social work the social work industry is such a specific industry that I unfortunately don't have a specific answer to your question. What I recommend you to do is to check out the Jyväskylä University website and just go through it in a lot of detail. For example, I'm sure that on their degree page where they talk about the social work masters, they most likely have some kind of a career opportunities page. Go through that and try to check out what kind of a certificate you might need to work as a social worker, or do you need Finnish? That would be my suggestion. Cool. Then the next question comes from Victoria from Romania, and Victoria is still in high school as well, but she's interested in doing a bachelor's in software engineering in the LUT University or Tampere University of Applied Sciences. Great, both are great schools. And the question is actually, what do you think about the universities mentioned above? Like, is Tampere as a University of Applied Sciences better for studying software engineering than LUT, or are both equally good? So you have to take into account that the LUT University is a bit different from Tampere University of Applied Sciences. Again, we kind of go back to the same discussion that we have every single week, which is the difference between universities and universities of applied sciences. So the difficult thing here is that, if I remember correctly, I have to check this out. I have to, just a second, I have to check this out first. Just a moment, I need to Google one thing So yeah, so the question here is, are we talking about LUT University or LUT University of Applied Sciences? If I remember correctly, that there is one called that. Because universities are different than universities of applied sciences. I have a video explaining all the differences between these two types of institutions, the differences in their education, the application, as well as career opportunities. However, here's a quick summary. Universities teach bachelor's as well as master's level degrees, as well as PhDs. Universities of applied sciences teach mostly bachelor's degrees, but some of them also have some individual master's degrees. However, when you apply to a university, when you are admitted to study at a university, you are automatically admitted to do both your bachelor's as well as your master's studies. However, if you apply for a University of Applied Sciences, you are only first admitted to study a bachelor's degree. And if you then want to do a master's afterward, you have to apply for a master's degree separately. So you have to go through two different application processes. While at university, you basically go through one application process and you're admitted to both levels at the same time. Then one more thing that is very relevant is that the teaching at universities is a bit more academic and theoretical because they are research schools, research universities. While universities of applied sciences are more practical, they are often referred to as polytechnic schools. Some people use a term vocational university as well. Means that the approach to education is a bit more practical, and universities of applied sciences are usually meant for those who want to work in a very specific job. While in universities, when you graduate, you don't graduate into a job, you graduate to work in a field, and there's a bunch of stuff that you can do afterwards. For example, if you want to study, a very easy comparison is that if you want to study work as an accountant, you would need to do a bachelor's degree in business administration, and that is a University of Applied Sciences level degree. You can also study accounting and business administration at a university level, but no one who graduates from a university in the field of business administration accounting becomes an accountant. They work in much higher positions after graduation, and they have way more career opportunities afterwards. So I think this is a good example here. All right. But yeah, anyway, to kind of going back to your question, Both are excellent schools. It's just a question of what are you looking for? Are you looking to just do a bachelor's, or do you want to do a bachelor's as well as master's? If you want to do a master's as well, I recommend LUT University. If you want to do just a bachelor's, then Tampere University of Applied Sciences is a great school. There. How hard is it for me to answer a direct question directly? I just go on this really long tangents where I just talk about kind of random stuff. I don't know. Anyway, before I jump to the next question, I just need to grab a bit of water. Meanwhile, we're actually currently at 17 likes with the stream. It would be awesome if you guys could just gently tap the like button if you're getting value out of the stream. And it would be awesome to get to, let's say, 30 likes before the end of the stream. And I would highly, highly appreciate that. However, a quick drink. All right, there we go. Much better. Cool. The next question. Oh, actually, before we jump into the next question, the one thing that I would love to know, if you guys want to actually write in the chat, where are you guys actually streaming from? Last time we had people from all over the world. Basically, the only place where we didn't have anyone, it was Australia and New Zealand. So just write in the chat your country, where are you actually streaming from? And for example, what is the local time at your home city at this time? Because it's awesome to see people coming from different time zones as well. All right. Anyways, the next question comes from Mukesh Parmar, who comes from India, and Mukesh is applying to do a master's in engineering at Aalto University. Nice. And the question is, any future for mechanical engineers in Finland during the study and after graduation? I have 6 years of experience in the field, and I have completed a master's in mechanical engineering, and I want to study again a master's degree in Finland. Oh, really interesting. All right, cool. The answer here is yes, absolutely. There are a lot of different really, really great opportunities for mechanical engineers in Finland. The thing that you have to understand is that Finland is a country of engineers. We have basically been built as a country by engineers, and engineers in Finland are very highly regarded. There are a bunch of different opportunities that you can pursue after doing a master's in Finland. For example, we actually have a startup, technology startup that I'm a part of. Some people might have seen a post that I put on LinkedIn. If you have not, go and follow me on LinkedIn. There is a link to my profile below in the description box below, and you can actually check out the post that I made about our new startup that we're working on. And actually, our engineer is from Mexico originally, and he has done his master's degree in mechanical engineering in Finland, and he's doing really well with his career. So that's something that you should definitely keep in mind. The one thing that I would mention is that if you already have 6 years of experience in mechanical engineering, and you already have a master's in mechanical engineering, I would recommend that you actually not necessarily apply for a second master's in mechanical engineering, because there's not going to be that much difference, and I'm not actually quite sure how much benefit you're going to get from that. Rather, I would recommend that you maybe apply for a different kind of degree in engineering. For example, automation engineering or robotics or something like this. Because that will then expand your understanding in the field of engineering, and that will make you even more valuable as a job seeker. Having 2 master's degrees in the same field is not necessarily something that I would recommend, and it would be, if I were hiring engineers, I would really question why did you do 2 degrees in the same field? Rather, do another same kind of an engineering degree, however, in a bit of a different niche. Hey Alexi, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for the €2.07. You're always so precise. €2.07 super chat. Alex is saying, can you do campus tour videos? Yes, I definitely want to and will do campus tour videos once the darn campuses open up. I've been longing to do campus videos, for example, for the University of Helsinki. and continue the university campus video series that I have for Aalto University, because it's such a huge campus that I have to do multiple videos about it. The same for Helsinki as well. And I would actually love to travel around the country to actually show off different campuses, but I would need to contact the universities first to check them out. So yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, dude. The money is actually going to my espresso fund. Funny enough, I actually ran out of coffee today at the office. How big of a disaster can one actually face in Finland? Running out of coffee in work, and I actually don't have any grocery stores close by, so I couldn't. I had to drink tea. I actually had to drink tea today at work, which is a scandal. Tea is fine, but coffee is what you drink in work at work in Finland. So darn. Thank you. I highly appreciate it. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. Let's see. Anyway, the next question from the forum. Again, guys, if you are new to the chat, if you're new to these live streams or new to the channel, first of all, welcome. My name is Oliver, and I'm actually a master's in economics and in business administration from Aalto University. I'm actually just about to graduate. I submitted my master's thesis 2 weeks ago, and I just got it certified, so I'm just waiting for my degree certificate to arrive in the mail. And on the channel, we talk about education and early career development in Finland. And during these live streams, I basically answer your questions about studying, living, and working in Finland. And how these live streams work is that if you have a question that you would like me to answer live, I have a link to a Google form, which you can find in the description box below. And please, if you have a question, post your question into the Google form. The reason why I do it this way is because it's very difficult for me to follow up with the live chat while I'm talking, and I will most likely miss your questions in the chat. And if and when you post your question into the form, I will see the questions here in front of me on the computer, and that allows me to go through them one by one in the order that they come in. All right, awesome. Before I jump into the next question, let's just super quickly see who we have here. We have Veli S from England, London. Welcome, matey. I need to get more sleep. We have Agiles from Indonesia. It's 10:40 local time. Cool. All right. Welcome. We have Jet Koti from India, of course. 9:10 p.m. local time. We have Eric from South Africa, 5:40 p.m. We have London is 4:40 local time, so a couple of hours behind. We have Joseph Matondang from Jakarta, Indonesia. Awesome. UTC 7, that's cool. I actually have my godmother and her husband. They used to actually live in Jakarta for years. She actually used to work for the UN, and they were actually there on a mission for multiple years. I was supposed to actually visit Jakarta, but I never got the chance, which is a really big shame, because apparently Jakarta is a lovely, lovely place. Anyways, we have Shrojit from Uganda. It's 6:40 p.m. local time. Awesome. And we have Abrar from India as well. Antalya, Turkey, 6:42 p.m. We have let's see, California local time, 8:44 a.m. Awesome. That's really cool. That's awesome that you actually want to join us that early in the morning. That's cool. Morning coffee. Anyway, jumping to the next question, which comes from Fred from Argentina. And Fred is already studying in Finland at the University of Helsinki, doing a master's in computer sciences. Nice. And the question is, why did Microsoft give me an offer of full-time job in the UK for 150,000 euros per year? Jeez. Let's see, that's, holy smokes, that's a lot of money. While they gave me an offer of 70,000 euros per year if I work in Finland, I think what Amir said was true. I actually did not notice what Amir said, but you have to take into account the price differences between Finland and, for example, the UK. So yeah, definitely, first of all, 150,000 euros per year is 12,500 euros per month, which is insane. However, the question is, I actually don't know how the taxation works in the UK, how high the taxes are there. But what I do know is that if the job is in London, that would actually explain it quite a lot, because London is an extremely expensive city to live in. I actually have an old colleague of mine who went to the London School of Business, and he said that the city is just immensely expensive to live in, and that explains some of the price differences. I also have actually a colleague of mine who is half British. He actually used to live there as well, and he has said the same story. So I think that is part of the story. However, also you have to consider that the salary levels between Finland and UK are simply different. But also, I don't know about the different other kind of costs. For example, healthcare, which I know that in the UK is free or public. So I don't know. It's very hard to say. What I would recommend you to do here, because I don't know how to guide you well in this case, Fred, I would tell you to reach out to people who have experience working in the UK, especially if this is in London, and ask them about this and their experiences. Because there has to be some kind of an explanation here, behind this. However, I can say this, that the salaries for software engineers in the UK are higher than in Finland, again, but that does not tell the full story. But yeah, congratulations. That sounds incredible. That sounds absolutely incredible. So congrats. Cannot say anything more here. Nice. Anyway, the next question comes from Nader Chaito, who comes from Lebanon and is coming to Finland for work, not for school. And the question is, hi, if I buy a home in Helsinki, can I move my family there as well? And can they reside there with my children go to school? And the question is, or NB, I don't want to work in Finland. I am already self-employed in Africa. No, if you don't get a job in Finland, but you buy an apartment here, that is not a reason good enough I think, to move to Finland. You will not most likely get a residence permit here. At least not likely. And even if you would, even if I'm wrong, you have to take into account that if you live in Finland but you work remotely to Africa through your work, you will have to pay taxes in Finland anyways. So just take that into account. So yeah, this is a very difficult question. My gut feeling is no. However, you have to take into account that resident permit applications are always processed individually. And what I would recommend you to do is to visit the Finnish Immigration Services website and check out if they have any kind of information about this topic. Or, for example, if and when you actually come to this website, you can actually see there's a chat bot on the bottom right corner, if you can see it behind my picture. And if you go to the website during office hours, during local office hours Helsinki time, you can actually ask them about this in the chat, and they will most likely be able to give you at least some kind of an answer. However, this is a very specific question about residence permits, so it's very difficult for me to give you a very, very, very specific answer here, unfortunately. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Abrar Ahmed, who comes from India and is starting school this semester at the University of Applied Sciences in Metropolia at doing a master's in civil engineering, which is awesome. And the question is, hey Oliver, your videos have been of great help to me. Thank you. Thank you for the positive feedback. I'm glad to hear that they have actually given you some value. I will be coming to Finland in September or October as a student. I have already received the confirmation from UAS Metropolia for my master's program. First of all, congratulations on being admitted to Metropolia. It's a great school. They have a really good, nice new campus building in Helsinki. And I'm sure that you're going to enjoy your time in Helsinki living here. The question is, I want to apply for student housing and I could only find HOAS for Helsinki region. Can you please suggest other housing services for students in the Helsinki region? Unfortunately, in your case, no. The reason being that student housing services in the Helsinki region are done by a few different operators. So HOAS is the only viable option for you as a student in Metropolia. many universities have their own, or many university student unions have their own student apartment as well. However, Metropolia is not a university, so it does not have a student union, and they don't, ergo, they don't have their own student apartments for Metropolia students. So HOAS is your best bet, and if you just apply early, so now, apply now, today, since you already have the paperwork from the school, you should be fine, and you should be able to get an apartment unless there's a massive queue for some reason. So apply today, apply now, and you should be fine. But if you want to look from other places outside of HOAS, there are places that I would recommend to you. However, in this case, what I would ask you to do is to send me a message on Discord, or basically just in the Discord server. If you're not a member, there's a link in the description box below. Go to the Living in Finland channel and just write a message there and ping me there. And I will then be able to give you a bit of a bunch of links there. It's a bit easier for me to give you resources, written resources, compared to trying to figure all the different companies out in my head right now, while I'm trying to answer other people's questions as well. So just take this into account. So well, I would really recommend that you send me a message on, or write a question in the Discord server, and I will get back to you there. Veli saying, Veli is actually commenting in the chat to the topic that we discussed before about London, saying London has many pros, has many more pros apart from the fact that it's a bit expensive to people who want to study here from other countries. Yeah, that is true. Of course, London is a beautiful city. I've been there a couple of times. It's beautiful. I would love to work there or live there at some point in my life. Myself. Of course, now that they are no longer a member of the EU, it's a bit more difficult to go and work there as an EU citizen, depending on how they actually agree on the different regulation. But the major big con about London is specifically the expenses. However, of course, London is a beautiful place, and I would never say no to London if I had an opportunity. Yeah. Jed Kotti saying, fun fact, London is more populated than the entire Finland. Accurate. That is true. There's a lot of people there. All right. The next question comes from the forum. Again, if you have any questions, please post your questions into the Google form, link in the description box below. The next question from the forum comes from Shrujit, who is a regular also on the channel and comes from India. And he has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a bachelor's in accountancy and economics. And the question is, hey Oliver, I wanted to know about universities for my bachelor's degree, and I am in my last year of school, and I want to do accountancy and economics together in my bachelor's. Can you help me find a university? So yeah, so all right, so first of all, I have to say that if you just want to do a bachelor's degree, doing a degree which combines accountancy, so becoming an accountant, so accountancy, and economics, it's going to be very difficult for you to find anything like this. The reason is that there simply are no degrees that I'm aware of that combine these two fields. So what I would recommend you to do is to consider applying for a university degree, so meaning that you apply for both bachelor's and master's at the same time. And for example, Aalto University is a great option. I actually majored in my bachelor's degree. I majored in accounting and business administration. Again, I did not want to become an accountant, and no university graduate after a master's degree will become an accountant. However, the cool thing is that if you do a university degree and you major in accounting and business administration, you can then minor in economics. However, this is not that often possible with universities of applied sciences, where you only do your bachelor's degree. Again, please do your own research and due diligence. I might be wrong here. I don't know every single degree in Finland by heart, so take that into account, but this is what I've understood. So for example, Aalto University would be a great option for you if you want to study these two fields together. And of course, by first doing your bachelor's and then your master's, during which you can also major in accounting and then economics as well, you will have excellent career prospects, because these are very useful degrees if you actually do them. Cool. All right. Actually, talking about this topic, there is actually Fabio Mahamud is asking in the chat a very good question that I've actually spoken about before already in this stream. Fabio asking also, can you go over the differences between a University of Applied Sciences, or UAS, and universities? Because I'm doing online classes in a University of Applied Sciences and the studies seem too easy for me. So I'm confused if I'm going to be in a disadvantage later on. So Fabio, this is a great question, and it depends. The answer here is it depends on what do you want to do after graduation. So actually, Fabio, I have a separate video about this topic on my channel where I explain this in a in much more detail than I can ever go through in the during the live stream. So go ahead and check that out from the channel. However, a quick rundown. Again, I've explained this already 2 or 3 times during the live stream or this stream. So universities are more theoretical and academic than universities of applied sciences. So universities are research schools. They base their education based on academic research and theory, while universities of applied sciences base their education mostly on more practical applications. Also, when you do a degree in a University of Applied Sciences, it is more common, not always the same case, but it's more common that you only do a bachelor's degree, while if you are admitted to a university, you're automatically admitted to do both your bachelor's and master's degrees, in a row. However, if you want to do a master's degree after a University of Applied Sciences bachelor's, you have to apply for that master's degree separately. So when you basically do a degree in a UAS, it is normally expected of you that you only do a bachelor's degree. There are other cases as well. For example, in the stream, we have already seen people who are doing a master's in a University of Applied Sciences. However, it's more common to do a master's at a university. Then again, on the other hand, universities of applied sciences are more for those, or especially their bachelor's degrees, they're more for those kind of people who want to graduate into a specific job, or to a specific, to a more specific job or field. While universities are for those who want to have a bit more broad career prospects afterwards. Again, this is very difficult to explain, but I think the easiest way to explain this is that if you want to work as an accountant, that is a bachelor's level degree that you need to do at a University of Applied Sciences. You can also study accounting and business administration at a university. However, no university graduate, so who has a master's degree, should work as an accountant after graduation, because it's way too low for them after graduation. So basically, if I for example, again, I majored in accounting and business administration at the university, but I will never work as an accountant. I will work as I have the jobs that I will do are much higher in terms of, pay and type of a job. So it's very difficult to explain, but again, go through the video that I have in the channel. It explains it everything in a more cohesive and detailed manner. So just there. All right. Anyways, the next question is from. Let's see. Oh, sorry. The next question comes from Jet Koti. Again, thank you for joining as a member. That's highly appreciated. And Jet Koti, as a reminder to everyone, comes from India, starting school this semester, doing a degree in Finland. The question is, I wanted to know about companies which may provide health insurance to minors who are coming to study in Finland, as I am 17 currently, and I checked the insurance companies suggested by Migri, but they only provide it to students 18 or above. This is actually an interesting question. To be honest, I have no idea. I actually did not know that they only offered insurances for people 18 or above. To be honest, I had no idea. That sucks. Yeah, I have no idea. The thing is that you would basically need to get you need an international insurance, and it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get an insurance. Right, there's a dog in the corridor. It's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get an insurance from a Finnish company before you come to Finland. So that is going to be something that you have to take into account. Dude, sorry, unfortunately, I cannot help you here. It's simply something that I've never looked into. And what I recommend you to do is to, for example, look at some of the local insurance companies in India and whether they would be able to give you some kind of an international insurance. Never has come up before. Interesting question, though. I might have to take a look at this afterwards to learn a bit more about this topic, because this is a very important question. Also, Fabio has a second question to the same topic that I spoke about just now. So really quickly, also, can I study a master's in a university after doing a bachelor's in a UAS? Yes, you can. The thing is that you need to apply separately. So after you graduate as a bachelor's from a University of Applied Sciences, you simply need to check out the different universities that you're eligible to apply to. So, for example, in your case, again, I don't remember your field. So, for example, if it's economics or business administration, you need to check the specific universities that you're eligible to apply to. Basically, you just need to apply to the same field. And yeah, but you just need to go through the same application process again. It's a bit different for master's studies, so just take this into account. But yes, definitely you are eligible to apply. Tarak Shajib, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Tarak has a question. Hi, Oliver. Is Finnish or Swedish language requirements? Are there any Finnish or Swedish language requirements for Finnish passports for non-European Union citizens? Yes, if you want to get a Finnish passport, you basically need to get a Finnish citizenship, and yes, you need to pass a Finnish or Swedish language test. There is more information about this topic on the website of the Finnish Immigration Service, so check that out. Anyway, next question comes from Rishi from India, and Rishi is also a regular on the channel, starting school this semester, doing a master's in business analytics and data engineering. And there's a couple of questions here. Rishi saying, Moikka Oliver, what's up to you as well? I've got a couple of questions, rather dilemma, to be honest, to ask. Number one, my admission deadline is approaching and I have to accept the offer and pay the tuition fees. Given the current COVID situation around and the Finnish embassy at New Delhi is closed, it's highly unlikely that I will be able to make it on time. So what should I do? Should I defer or start the program online, which is highly likely? Yeah, so this is actually a good question. And of course, you have to take your personal situation into account. So I don't want to say yes or no here. I just want to give you a bit of context. So first of all, the situation in India is just so unfortunate. And first of all, please stay safe. And hopefully all of your family is safe as well. What I would recommend you to do here is, first of all, contact the university immediately and ask them their recommendation about the situation, and specifically ask them about the upcoming semester and whether or not it's going to be done online anyways. At least Aalto University, the latest emails that I've gotten from Aalto University, it's going to be quite the same for all the other schools as well, because they follow the same guidelines. Aalto University let their students know a few weeks ago that they will start the next semester, so September, partially online, or partially face-to-face. So it's going to be mostly online, especially in the beginning of the academic year. But we're partially, or step by step, we're going to move towards, contact teaching as the academic year goes forward and the vaccinations progress forward as well around Finland. So some of the education is going to be online anyways. So you might actually not lose that much by starting your studies online. However, of course, the one thing that you will miss most likely is the social aspect of studying in Finland, which is very unfortunate. And that is, of course, something that I would love you to be able to enjoy as well. However, it's very difficult for me to say whether any kind of student parties are even going to be permitted in September, because we still haven't vaccinated even 50% of Finnish people. So it might be that parties are simply not allowed anyways in September. So you might actually not even lose that much. However, if you defer your admission, then that means that you have to wait for a year to come to Finland. However, if you just start your studies online, it might be, hopefully at least, that the situation in Finland and especially in India gets better, within the next half a year or so. And it might be that you might actually be able to come to Finland in the mid of the first academic year. So you have to balance all of these things out. Again, I cannot give you a yes or no answer here. Just take everything into account and do the best, make the best choice that, or the most suitable choice for your personal situation. And then the second question is, I'm pretty confused about the accommodation. In case I won't be able to make it in time, should I book it for the August period or when I actually come there in Finland, since it's highly unlikely that I will make it in August or September period? Yeah, same here, especially if you're applying for HOAS or AYY apartments. I'm sorry, especially if you're applying for HOAS apartment or apartments from any of the student unions. Contact them immediately, especially if you have already sent an application. Or at latest, contact them immediately when you get an offer and tell them about your situation. And they have, I'm not sure how they're going to deal with this, whether they defer your application for later or do you need to reapply, or how the situation is handled. However, I do know that at least HOAS has a process for this because they have already gone through this last year. So contact the student apartment provider the second that you get offered an apartment, and if you're still unsure whether or not you're able to come to Finland, and they will help you out. They will help you out with the situation. Then third, I'm an introvert and like to have my own space. Same here. So should I go for a studio room or a shared room? As in the case of a shared room, I have the opportunity to meet and make new friends at the start. Yeah, I'm an introvert as well, and most Finnish people are introverts in the eyes of many international students. In the way that we need our own space, especially in Finland. So the thing is, I would highly recommend that any international students start, or every single international student in Finland should start with a shared apartment for the sole reason of being able to get new friends and network easier. Especially since usually in those shared apartments you have most of the people are going to be international students. So you are able to cope better with the culture shocks, and you guys are going to be able to help each other with the process of getting used to living in Finland. So it's just easier for you to get used to Finland together, kind of going through the process together. And that's why I highly recommend that you apply for a shared apartment. Of course, having your own place is always nice, but it again, as an introvert myself. For example, for me, what happened is that I actually kept to myself quite a lot, and I actually didn't make that much friends during my first year, or at least not as many as I could have. And I'm kind of I'm actually quite sad about it, now that I think of it afterwards. So I recommend that you get a shared apartment, and you can always apply for your own apartment afterwards if you don't like it. Cool. And then kiitos paljon for taking the time and effort to solve my long dilemmas. You're most welcome. Hopefully that helped with the questions. Before I jump into Sheila's question, Sheila is from Zimbabwe and actually answered one of Sheila's questions in the beginning of the chat. Quick drink, and then while I'm doing that, again, if you haven't yet done so, I would really love if you could please gently tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm, so that we could get over 30 likes for this stream. Also, super quick drink before I jump to the next question. Awesome. Also, before I jump to the next question, Manila Rafi has a question. Hi, is there any age limits to study there? I'm 41 years old, and Jet Koti is completely correct saying no. There are no age limits for studying in Finland. All right, the next question comes from Sheila from Zimbabwe. And Sheila is starting school this semester at the Centralia University of Applied Sciences, doing her master's in business, which is awesome. And the question is, are there any funding opportunities for non-European Union students? I got admitted to the Centralia University of Applied Sciences. Yeah, so, excuse me. So yeah, there are, however, it depends on the university itself. So I have to check the Centralia University of Applied Sciences websites because they are university specific. If they do not have any scholarships that you can apply for, at this stage, then basically there are no other ways. Let's see. Tuition fees and scholarships for master's degree programs. Scholarships. Come on. All right, Centralia University of Applied Sciences offers a scholarship program for students who are subject to paying tuition fees for you, so for example. And the tuition fees are this much and the scholarship amounts are this much. And conditions for scholarships. If a student completes the whole degree program within 1.5 years, he or she will be able to apply for a 50% refund of the second year tuition fee. So that's the tuition fee. Scholarship would be then worth 3,750 euros. Then for the other program, it's the same thing. So basically there are 50% scholarships for the second year if you finish your studies fast. So, excuse me. On top of this, there are really no other really great options for Centralia. Again, scholarships and different kind of funding programs are university specific in Finland, and there are really no kind of general scholarship programs that you could apply for. Technical Booth, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here as well. Gautam, what's up? Welcome to the stream as well. Gautam saying hi, nice to see you again. And you were pronouncing my name correctly the last time, if you remember. Awesome. So Gautam, I think that would be the correct way to pronounce your name. Nice, love it. All right, the next question. And by the way, guys, there are not that many questions in the Google form at this time. So if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, now would be a great time to write your questions into the Google form, which is linked in the description box below between the two yellow exclamation marks. So I will get to your question really quickly if you have any questions. All right, anyways, the next question from the form comes from Fernando from Ecuador. And Fernando is starting school at the Aalto University, doing a master's in Smart SysMed Integration Solutions. What is SysMed? What Fernando, if you're still live, please explain to me, what is SysMed? Smart SysMed Integration Solutions? I have no idea what that is. Super interesting. I would love to hear more. Just let me know in the chat. Elaborate a bit more on what the is that. I'm just a humble businessman. No idea. Anyway, the question is, I will be studying the autumn term in Aalto, but next I will have to move to Norway for the spring term. I'm looking at the furnished apartments for exchange students and using AYY, but their apartments are unfurnished. But explain that you can get a but you can. But they also say that you can actually rent furniture. So do you, Oliver, recommend renting furniture? Yeah, that's one way to do it. So basically, Aalto University actually has a a secondhand furniture shop called let's see. It's called Reuse and Rescue. So I can share it actually right here. So Reuse and Rescue is actually run by Aalto University students at the campus. And you can actually rent furniture from them, and it's really, really nice. The prices are, of course, great. The furniture are, they check that the furniture are, at least somewhat good condition. And the prices are very, very cheap. So that's one option for you. However, what I would recommend you to do is, what I would recommend for you to do is to also apply for apartments from HOAS. So if you don't know what HOAS is, it's basically a non-profit which is owned by students in Finland, in the Helsinki region. It's actually owned by student organizations, and it's actually the biggest student housing provider in the Helsinki region. And I've been living in their apartments throughout my studies. Hashtag this stream is not sponsored by HOAS, even though they are a channel sponsor. And actually, they are saying here, are you an exchange student? Check our dedicated site for exchange students. Click here. So yeah, they actually have really, really good exchange student apartments, which are specifically for exchange students. And many of their apartments for exchange students are furnished. So that's great. So make sure to apply for HOAS apartments for exchange students. If you don't get the pop-up link here, you can actually see there's a link here on the top right corner, exchange students. So just click that and you should get to the page. So yeah, apply for HOAS apartments as well. They're really, really affordable, really high quality on really good locations. And, I've been living there in their apartments for almost 8 years now. So, cannot complain. All right. Cool. The next question from the form. Again, if you have any questions, there's a Google form linked in the description box below. There's not that many questions there, so please post your question there, and I will get to your question quite soon. The next one comes from Kanishk, and Kanishk comes from India as well. And Kanishk is applying to Aalto University to do a master's in data sciences. Nice. And the question is, hi Oliver, what's up? Can you please talk about the availability of data science jobs and salaries in Finland post a master's degree from Aalto University in an allied field for beginners or early career professionals? Thank you. Sure. I cannot give you specific numbers because the salaries, of course, will depend on not only on your degree, your prior job experience, the company that you're applying to, and the seniority of the job that you're applying for. However, what I can say is that data scientists who have a master's degree are very well paid in general. So usually data science is categorized under business, depending on the degree that you do, but usually they're categorized under the field of business. And usually when you graduate from Aalto University as a master's in business, the starting salaries are, salaries start somewhere around plus or minus, 3,000 euros and upwards. And the thing is that they actually grow and progress really, really quickly as you move through your career or upwards in your career. But you also have to take into account that this depends heavily on the company and as well as on the field that you're working on. What everyone has to understand, actually, super important, is that in Finland we don't have a minimum salary, like a general minimum salary. Instead, we are a heavily unionized country, and the unions actually negotiate salaries for each field. So, for example, if you work in the financing sector, or banks, financial institutions, etc., they have extremely high starting salaries. And if you go and work, for example, for a bank as a data scientist, you're going to have a very good salary even from the get-go. So definitely, yes, data science masters are going to be well paid, and there's a huge demand for people in this field. So it's a growing field in Finland, and there's definitely demand. So I would say that there's a lot of different options. Of course, I would need to list out dozens and dozens and dozens of different companies that could hire you as a non-Finnish speaker, but unfortunately, of course, I can't go too deep into that right now. However, what I can say here is that every single friend of mine who has have studied data science or studied business and majored in data science, they have already found a job way before graduation, and they're very well paid. So that's basically the only kind of general thing that I can say here. But I would definitely be on the positive side, or I would definitely be optimistic in your case. The next question comes from Tarag Aziz, who comes from Bangladesh, and Tarag is applying for a master's in data sciences. Common field apparently. And the question is, hey Oliver, after completing my master's in Finland, if I do not find a job related to my field, can I still get a work permit? And how many years do I need to get a Finnish passport? That's a good question, or two good questions. So yes, indeed, even if you get a job that is not in your own field, you can still get a work permit here. The requirements are basically that you need to you have to get enough pay or salary, net salary for you to pay for your living in Finland. So, however, again, as I just mentioned a second ago, if you have a master's in data sciences and you're actively looking for jobs, you should already get a job before graduation. So don't leave this to the last minute. I recommend that you already start looking for jobs way before graduation, basically at the start of your last year in school, and you should be fine. So it is going to take a lot of time for you to find a job. Even for Finnish job seekers, it can take from a few months to half a year or even a year to find a job, depending on what kind of jobs they want to accept. So start that on time, but I would not worry about not finding a job in your field, again, because there's such high demand for data scientists in Finland. About Finnish passports and basically Finnish citizenship, let me just check this really quickly. Citizenship. Let's see. I don't remember this by heart. A requirement for becoming a Finnish citizen is that you live in Finland and that the total time you have lived in Finland is long enough. So let's see. Let's see. How to calculate the period of residence. You have lived in Finland a total of 7 years after you turned 15. Okay, that doesn't count on you. If you have lived in Finland long enough, if you have lived in Finland for the last 5 years without interruption, continuous period of residence, or you have lived in Finland for a total of 7 years after you turned 15, with the last 2 years without interruption. Do take into account that you studying in Finland does count at least somewhat into this number. And then I think that the usual number that people give is that you need to live in Finland for 4 years or work in Finland for 4 years with a continuous residence permit. And then after that, you can, I think, apply for a permanent residency. And then you need to work in Finland for a couple of years after that. And then you can apply for a Finnish citizenship. Again, it depends a bit on the process and what you're actually doing in Finland. I recommend that you actually go through the entire page on Migri's website. Again, I cannot go through it here in detail because it's, a lot of information. So again, please read the website, Finnish Immigration Services website on citizenship in detail, so that you can actually get the at least basic information from there. All right. The next question comes from Gautam. Hopefully, again, I got the name correctly. And Gautam is from India, starting school this semester at Aalto University, doing his master's in automation and electrical engineering. Awesome. And the question is, hey, Oliver, I'm worried about my residence permit. This seems to be a very common topic here, unfortunately, for people coming from India, unfortunately. I need to show them my bank statement and I plan on taking a loan. But here in India, we have a lockdown and the bank is unable to process my loan until the lockdown ends. I might be able to apply for residence permit only by the end of June. Is that okay? That's a good one. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to say no. I don't want to say yes here. What I recommend you to do is don't contact the Finnish Immigration Service about this because it takes so long for them to answer you. What I recommend you to do is to contact the Aalto University Admission Services and then pray for God that they are able to help you, or God's, whoever. Or just hope that they're able to help you, at least give you some information. So the admission services email is admissions@aalto.fi. So admissions is plural with an S at the end, @aalto.fi. Send them an email about this and tell them exactly the same thing that you told me here. be brief, as brief as possible, so that it's easier for them to answer, and hopefully they will be able to help you a bit more here. This sucks. This is the worst thing, that you have to wait because of the banks are closed. This is completely stupid. It shouldn't be impossible for the banks to process your loan online. So I don't know what the problem is. So that sounds really sad, to be honest. I'm sorry, really sorry for the situation. Again, hopefully you're safe, and hopefully all of your relatives and family and friends are safe as well. It's horrible what's happening in India, unfortunately. And luckily, the international community has started to pour in help, but it's not enough at this point, unfortunately. But yeah, again, the resident permits the questions about the resident permits, especially in terms of India and the current situation, are really difficult for me to answer, because they are very specific topics and very specific cases. And again, all of the applications are processed on a case-by-case basis. So I really don't want to give you false information. That's why I'm quite vague when I answer these kind of questions. Hopefully that gave you at least some kind of a guidance to move on. So contact Aalto Admission Services about this. And the options that you might have. Anyway, the next question comes from Manila Rafi, who comes from Finland. Cool. All right. And Manila is applying for a master's in biotechnology. Nice. All right. That's kind of cool. And the question is, I had done a PhD, but now working as a school teacher, would like to resume my research career. Now I am 41 years old. Is it possible to do a master's and later a PhD? Once I get admission, is it 100% sure that I will get a visa also? All right. Okay. So you're not from Finland. All right. So if you already have a PhD, you can definitely apply for a master's. There's absolutely nothing stopping you from applying for a master's. And of course, if you want to do a master's in biotechnology, depends on what field you're actually, which field you have your previous degree from. So when you apply for a master's in Finland, you need to be eligible to apply, meaning that you at least have to have a prior degree that makes you eligible to apply for that master's program. So for example, as an example, if you have done your bachelor's in computer sciences, you're not going to be eligible to apply for a master's in business. The same way, the other way around as well. Of course, the same if you have a bachelor's in business, you will not be eligible to apply for a master's in biotechnology, and vice versa. However, if you, for example, already have a PhD and master and a prior master's in biotechnology, I don't see any reason for you to apply for another master's in the same field. If you want to resume your studies and do a second master's, I recommend that you do something similar, but not the exact same. So something that is close enough that it makes you eligible to apply. However, not the exact same degree, because that's not going to help you that much in terms of job hunting. To your second question, which was, once I get admission to a university in Finland, is it 100% sure that I will get a visa? Unless there are very, very strict reasons for you not getting a residence permit to Finland, basically yes. So unless so if you don't have a criminal record, if you are not a danger to the public, or if there's something else that basically would stop you from getting a residence permit to Finland in general, then basically yes. I have not heard of any cases where a student has been admitted to study in Finland and then they have not gotten a residence permit. The one thing here, the only one big exception here is you need to be able to support yourself financially. So the Finnish Immigration Service on their website, I can actually pull it out here. You need to have at least 560 euros per month on your bank account already before you apply for a residence permit. So saying here, before you arrive in Finland, make sure that you have enough funds for the entire time of your studies. A residence permit for studies can be granted for 2 years if you can prove that you have sufficient financial resources for your entire stay in Finland. So if you apply for a 2-year residence permit, you must have at least 560 euros at your disposal already before you apply for the residence permit, meaning that you need to have 13,440 euros on your bank account. However, if you apply for a 1-year residence permit, which you can do, and then you need to apply for a second residence permit before your first year expires, then you can have 6,720 euros on your account. Do note that you are not allowed to support yourself while studying and during your first year of your studies with work. The Finnish Immigration Service will not give you a residence permit if you don't have at least this amount of money on your bank account already when you apply for the residence permit. After you have done your first year of studies in Finland, then you can support yourself financially by working in Finland. And of course, since you have a PhD and a previous master's, I don't see any reason why you couldn't get a job in Finland, a very high or highly paid enough for you to support yourself. So hopefully that gave you enough context around to your answer, to your question. All the way, I'm all over the place. All right, the next question. Actually, by the way, guys, this is the last question in the form. So if you have any questions for me that you would like me to answer live, please ask them in the Google form right now. There's no other questions after this, so you will be the next one in the queue. All right, the next week. The next question comes from Adnan from Morocco. And Adnan has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a master's in electrical engineering and automation systems or automation engineering. And he has been looking at the Vaasa University of Applied Sciences. Cannot speak anymore. And the question is, does Finland recognize the professional license diplomas like professional bachelors? Right, so thank you. You have been asking this for quite a while in the chat. Thank you very much for the patience. So if we're talking about applying for a master's degree with a professional license diploma, you have to check this on a case-by-case basis. So what when you apply for a master's degree in Finland, the minimum requirements or the first step is to check whether you have a prior degree that makes you eligible to apply for a master's in Finland. And how this is done is that either you have to do a bachelor's degree in Finland or in the European Union or university level bachelor's, or you can also be eligible to apply for a master's in Finland if you have a bachelor's level degree that makes you eligible to apply for a master's level degree in your own home country. So if your professional license diploma makes you eligible to apply for a master's in your home country, then in that case, it is most likely that you are also eligible to apply for a master's in Finland as well. However, you have to check these on a case-by-case basis. And what I would recommend you to do is to contact the Vaasa University of Applied Sciences admission services. You can just Google, I can show you this, just Google Vaasa University of Applied Sciences admissions contact. And you should see here how to apply. And you can see here, admissions at vamk.fi. This is the email, This is the email address that you need to contact, and write them a short email explaining the degree that you have and linking the school that you have gone to before, and ask them whether or not this makes you eligible to apply to their master's programs. They will be the ones able to answer your question. Unfortunately, I would need to look into the degree that you have already done, and I'm not able to do that live right now. All right. Cool, that was the last question in the form. And hopefully everyone has been getting value from the stream. Of course, if you have been getting value from the stream, I would really appreciate if you could gently tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm. There was a couple of questions in the chat that I would love to answer before we end the stream. So for example, 3 Wilk 4K asking, what would you recommend, Finland or Norway, for studying computer sciences? Definitely Finland. Finland is a hub for technology. And Finland has been receiving more investments in our startups and technology companies than any other European country, when you look at the number of people here. And actually, Jetkot is saying that here is Norway is really, really expensive to live in. That is true. Norway is super expensive even for Nordic countries. So a lot of Finnish people want to go to Norway, to do their exchange studies, but they actually cannot go there because Norway is so expensive to live in. Jetkoti also saying that Finland is also a regional technological hub. That is absolutely true. Finland is a country of engineers, a country of technology. So definitely recommend you come to Finland specifically to study a degree in computer sciences. And actually 3 will 4K. If you go to my channel, I really recommend that you go and check out a recent video that I put out. I can actually show you the video so that you can find the correct one. If you go to my channel page, so click the channel name underneath this live stream, you can actually see the channel page. Go all the way down to this, never mind. Go to videos right here and actually check out this recent video that I done. I actually interviewed a very famous and very highly respected Finnish entrepreneur, Peter Westerbacka, who is extremely successful, specifically in the IT and especially software development sectors. And we spoke about studying IT and AI in Finland and why should you study in the why you should study IT or AI, so artificial intelligence in Finland. So check that out. It's a very interesting interview, at least in my opinion. It will most likely answer most of your questions that you have. Malina saying, thank you so much, Oliver, for choosing my question and clearing all my doubts. Stay safe. You too as well. By the way, Malina, you're very kind, but do keep in mind that in Finland we like to keep things quite informal, so there's no need for you to basically call me Mr. or Sir or anything like that. Just call me by my first name, Oliver. In Finland, even in the corporate world, we use always our first names. Even if I go to Nokia and their CEO, I would then speak to him and call him by his first name. We actually, in the Finnish language, we don't even have a word for, like sir or you as a polite version. We always call each other by our first names. Abdullah bin Amir saying, Oliver, it would be great if you could discuss Finnish culture and experiences in your videos as well. Yeah, that's actually very true, and I would love to do that. Abdullah, if you have any specific questions that you have, please send those questions to me in the Discord server, and I would love to make videos about those topics. The thing is that it's very difficult for me to figure out the specific topics that I should talk about because I'm, of course, very biased. And as a Finnish person, I don't really know what the topics are that you're interested in from the perspective of culture. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I would love to make videos about them. I would actually be very enthusiastic about making videos about them, but I just need topics. So let me know if you have any topic recommendations. So definitely, yeah. Let's see, Technical Booth had a question. By the way, when will Finland start offline classes? Any idea? Yeah, actually, excuse me. Yeah, actually, so most universities will start some offline classes already this upcoming semester, so starting in September. However, they're not going to be 100% offline. Especially, my guess is that most of the first year classes, especially the really big lectures where you have hundreds of people, all of those are going to be still held online. But the classes that are like 10, 20, 30 people, those might start going offline. And especially any classes that require attendance in a lab or engineering labs or anything like this, most likely those will go offline first. So that's my guess based on the current situation. Lavanya Yanam saying, "Can you answer my question? I just sent you in the form." Yep, definitely. I will jump to that in just a second. Lavanya, there's actually a couple of questions here, so just bear with me for a second. I will go through this really quickly. The first one actually comes from Juan Vasquez. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Anyways, yeah, so a couple of questions in the form, so I will get to them right now. And the first one actually comes from Juan Vasquez from Mexico. And Juan is starting school this semester at the University of Oulu, doing a master's in computer science and engineering. And by the way, Juan is also a regular in the streams, which I do appreciate. And Juan is asking, "Hey Oliver, about the COVID-19 situation, will I need to do quarantine when I arrive in Helsinki, or will I be allowed to reach Oulu for it?" Good question. I will not give you an answer here, but I will give you the resources to find the answer. So the official government institution which gives guidance about this is the Terveyden and Hyvinvoinnin laitos, which is in English, it's the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare. And on their main page or front page, they actually have COVID updates here. So please check out this updates page. And they also have the travel and coronavirus pandemic restrictions. Go there and then check out from which countries can I actually come to Finland and on which basis, and who are actually excluded from a mandatory health examination. So we actually have screenings when you actually come to Finland. And when is self-quarantine recommended? The reason why I'm not saying anything more here is that the situation changes every single day, and I don't want anyone to see this live stream a week or a month from now and me saying that no, you don't have to quarantine or anything like this, because that information might be old news at that time. So please go to the website of the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare. Check out these updates, and then you can find all the information from here. Please do not follow instructions from anyone online who is not the official government offices. No matter who it is, YouTuber, blogger, someone in the forums, doesn't matter. Don't follow their advice on this, because the information that they're giving is either false or old. Always refer back to the official information on the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare's websites. Thank you. All right. The next question comes from, by the way, Juan, don't take this in the wrong way. This is a very important and great question. Thank you for asking it. It's a very important topic to talk about. The next question comes from Tarag Aziz, again from Bangladesh. And the question is, thanks Oliver, can most Finnish people understand Swedish language? No, actually the majority of Finnish people do not speak Swedish. Swedish is a minority language in Finland, even though it's an official language here. Finnish people do have to study Swedish in school, but for most people it's just a few years. So, and most people never use Swedish in their day-to-day life. I actually used to study for Swedish over 17 years, and I actually used to speak very fluent Swedish, up to the level where I wasn't only able to speak Swedish, but I was actually able to communicate with Norwegians. So Norwegian and Swedish, it's a completely different language. They're very close, but the pronunciation and words are a bit different. And the grammar is a bit different as well. However, I used to speak so fluent Swedish, and that I was actually able to communicate with Norwegians in Swedish, and they spoke Norwegian to me, and I was able to understand. However, that's not the case anymore. I actually cannot speak any Swedish anymore. Haven't used it in like 10 years. So unfortunately. Then the second question, after getting my permanent residency, can non-European Union citizens get an education free in Finland? No, you have to be a Finnish citizen in order to get a free education in Finland. Now, the next question comes from Lavanya Yanam, who comes from India, living here since 4 years. And Lavanya is studying at the Lab University of Applied Sciences, doing a bachelor's in international business. And the question is, hi, interested to know if and how much Kela, which is the social insurance institution of Finland, How much Kela provides to people with permanent residencies? That's a great question. I don't remember, to be honest. The Kela financial supports are quite complicated, to be honest. And most students in Finland hate going through the Kela applications, if I'm completely transparent here. The thing is, I would recommend that you do, unfortunately, is to simply go to the Kela website and then look for students and go to the quick guide for students. This is a very good guide for them that goes through all the different stuff that you need to know about the financial support for Finnish residents as well as non-Finnish residents who have a permanent residency in Finland. So by the way, for everyone else, if you are not a Finnish citizen or you don't have a permanent residency, this doesn't apply to you. The Finnish government doesn't give any financial support for non-Finnish nationals who are not permanent residents in Finland. So take that into account. So yeah, Lavanya, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm not able to give you more specific information here because it's just so freaking complicated and it depends on so many different things, and it probably has changed since the information has probably changed since the last time I checked it. So sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. All right, the next question comes from Manish Bhattarai, who comes from Nepal, is starting school this semester in the YAMK University of Applied Sciences, doing a bachelor's in international business. And the question is, so the COVID situation here is worse and it's getting worse day by day. Damn. And all the institutions are closed. So the appointment date for the embassy is closed too, and they have specified that the queue is very long and might take 3 to 4 months from now. Darn. So my study starts from August, so am I just confused or what should I do? Manish, I'm really sorry to say this, but I cannot really help you here because it's the situation is very specific in terms of Nepal and India, for example. My recommendation is that if you haven't gotten a time for the embassy by the end of June, contact the university, your university, YAMK, and ask them what should you do. There should be options for you. For example, you can defer the studies to the next year so that you could start your studies next year. Or the alternative should be that you should be able to start your studies online and then come to Finland when you have been able to get your residence permit sorted out, and you know that means that you might have to do a couple of months of studies online and then come to Finland afterwards. So once you get more information about the embassies and the time that you if you haven't had the time for your embassy by the end of June, I would recommend you to contact the university right away and ask for them for advice. It's very difficult for me to give you specific information again because it depends on the embassy, it depends on your country, it depends on the Finnish immigration service, it depends on the queues, it depends on the COVID situation and how it develops during the next few weeks. So it's the situation is all over the place. So it's very unfortunate. Please stay safe, by the way. It's really difficult to hear about the situation especially in that region. So please stay safe. The next question comes from Rishi, and the question is, hey, it's me again, what's up? So what are some unspoken common rules in Finland, common do's and don'ts? Don't speak about religion, don't speak about personal finances unless someone actually initiates that discussion. Those two, and then don't talk about politics unless there's a discussion going on already. Those are personal things that Finns do not like to speak about. And especially, this is one especially important rule, do not ask about the job, about your someone else's parents' finances. So for example, I know that I have had a few situations where an American friend of mine or American acquaintance or someone from the US have come to introduce themselves, and a common topic for them, kind of an easy icebreaker topic for them has been, hey, what does your parents do for a living? Nope, don't ask that. That's none of anyone else's business. It's actually quite common for within Finnish families not to talk about personal finances that much. So, for example, I've never spoken to my parents about how much they make, how much money they make. So finances, politics, and religion are very, very personal in Finland. Don't talk about those. Then a couple of other things. Don't be late. Finnish people are very punctual. Being late means being 5 minutes late. It's rude. It's considered rude. We're a bit like Germans. We like to be punctual. And if you want to impress Finnish people, be early. Be 5 minutes early always. Don't be late. Be early. This is something that is not necessarily like a common rule for don'ts. It's just something that you should not do. Please do not. Please respect everyone's personal space and privacy. So, for example, it doesn't matter who you are and who the other people are, what the age of them are, what the sex of them are, and how they dress. Yelling out sexual innuendos for other people on the street, for example, if you see a beautiful woman or man, it's extremely inappropriate and extremely rude culturally in Finland. And then, of course, any kind of unwanted physical contact can actually break a law in Finland. So I would definitely avoid any kind of unwanted physical contact, especially if it's a person who you do not know. But so there's a couple of rules that you should follow when you come to Finland. That's actually some things I would not do. Then do's: be early. Do a couple of other do's. Try to speak some Finnish at least. Finnish people love when international people try to speak Finnish. Doesn't have to be more than like introduce yourself in Finnish. That is going to impress someone. If you mess up, no one cares. Everyone's going to still be very impressed in you at least trying. Be open-minded about the Finnish sauna culture and Finnish kind of party culture, especially if you come to study in Finland. The Finnish student culture is very important to us. All the different student parties, organizations, volunteering, this kind of stuff, very important to us. And if you want to, get to know Finnish students, try to volunteer. Go and participate in different student organizations at your university. That's the best way to. That's actually the best way for you to get to know local Finnish students. So definitely. Also about the Finnish sauna culture. So it's going to be a bit awkward for most people at first. For example, especially with nudity. So traditionally, when Finns go to a sauna, we don't wear any bathing suits. Of course, if you don't want to be naked in a sauna, you don't have to. That's not weird. Especially as an international student, we absolutely understand it. But don't feel awkward about. Try to not feel awkward about the nudity. A sauna is not a sexual place, so there's nothing sexual about going to a sauna with friends, even if it's commingle, so women and men at the same time. Yeah, what else? Try Finnish food. Travel in Finland, especially in the Nordics, northern part of Finland. That's beautiful. A lot of really cool places to go to. What else? I think that's it. Try to get to know as many Finnish people as possible. Don't just hang out with other international students because you will be stay in a bubble. Try to get to know as many Finnish people as possible. I think those are my biggest do's and don'ts. Cool. Then the next question comes from Nelton Fernandez, who comes from India. And Nelton has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a master's in IT. And the question is, what's the path to immigration to Finland through education? You apply to study in a Finnish university. If you're admitted to study in Finland in a Finnish university, you apply for a residence permit. And unless there is a very heavy reason for you not to get a residence permit, like you're a criminal or you have a criminal record, you don't have the finances to actually study here. So you need to have enough money to actually study here, or anything else very, very heavy. You will get a residence permit to Finland. I have not heard of any cases where an international student who has the finances to study here and who has been admitted to a university has not gotten a residence permit. So actually one of the best ways to immigrate to Finland is specifically through the education system, because getting a residence permit, a work permit, in Finland, if you already have a degree, it's actually a very long process, and it's actually quite difficult to get a residence permit here. However, if you are admitted to a university in Finland, that's basically a guaranteed residence permit, again, as long as you're not a criminal, or and as long as you have the money to stay here. So that's that. So yeah, come to study in Finland. If you're interested in studying in Finland and you want to find more information about this topic, I have my entire channel is full of videos about how to apply, where to apply, what kind of schools we have, how much it costs, what is studying in Finland like, why should you actually study in Finland, what is living in Finland like, student apartments in Finland, etc. Check them out. There's hundreds and hours and hours and hours of videos on my channel. Check them out there. All right, next question comes from Bree from England. What's up, Bree? Welcome back to the channel, or the stream. And Bree is starting school this semester at the University of Helsinki, doing a master's in chemistry, which is really cool. And the question is, hi, I have just been accepted into the University of Helsinki, and in my acceptance email, first of all, congratulations. And then in my acceptance email, it spoke about a mandatory orientation week, and it said that if I missed it, the courses will be closed. I already did a learning agreement in my prior application, so I was wondering how will I actually sign up for the courses. Thank you, your videos are very helpful and were the reason I applied to Finland. Hey, that's really cool. That's actually awesome. So yeah, so what they're basically talking about, so when you start your studies, there's going to be a orientation week. So during the orientation week, you are actually taught how the course application system works. So universities in Finland have a couple of different kind of course management platforms that we use. Most of them use the same, but there are a couple of schools that use different ones. So basically during the orientation week, your personal tutor, so every student will have a study tutor, they will actually show you how, where and when to apply for the courses that you need to do. And the thing is that in many universities, the course application or course registration, the course registration has a strict deadline. So if you miss the deadline for the course registration, you will not be able to attend the specific courses. If you miss the registration, it doesn't mean that you are kicked out of the university. You just have to retake the course the next time it's arranged. Depending on the school and the degree, the courses might be held maybe twice a year, or at worst only once a year. Especially when since you're studying chemistry, it's most likely that most courses are only done once a year. So you need to. That's why they tell you to be there for the orientation week, so that you can take the basic courses when they're taught the first time. So that's why you should be there early. So that's most likely what they're talking about. Hopefully this answered your question. If not, let me know in the chat and I will elaborate a bit more if you have any more specific question about it. Also, if you have any questions about this, that you would like to ask, in the future, again, everyone join the Discord server. There's a link in the description box below. If you for some reason haven't heard of the Discord server that we have, it's basically a place for me building a community of people. It's basically a community of people, interested in studying and working in Finland. I think we have almost 500 members there, and people ask all kinds of questions there. And if I'm not able to answer, someone else is most likely able to answer your question. So there you go. Great question though, Bree. And once more, huge congrats on being admitted to the University of Helsinki. You should be proud of yourself. It's the highest ranking, best research university in Finland, and you're absolutely going to enjoy yourself there. They have a just unique and super awesome student community, and please be active in the student community and organizations. You're going to be having a lot of fun. All right, cool. The next question comes from Tarag Aziz, and the question is, thanks Oliver, can PhDs consider so PhDs, if you apply for a PhD, do you have to apply for a work permit or a study permit or study residence permit? So if you come to Finland to actually study as a PhD student, then you will need to apply for a study permit or for a residence permit for studies. This is my understanding. So if you come to work as a professor or as a PhD, or basically as a professor or as a PhD of something, then you will need to apply for a work permit. However, if you come to study a PhD degree, then you will need to apply for a residence permit for students. There. Thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for all the great questions. That was actually the last question in the form. Thank you for hanging out for almost 2.5 hours. Thank you, for hanging out. Great questions. I think that is going to be it for this week. Of course, if you have any more questions that you would like me to answer next week, go ahead and still post the questions into the Google form, and I will start next week's live stream with your questions. So you can post questions into the form anytime during the week, and I will definitely answer them the next time. Anyways, once again, thank you so much for hanging out, and if you have gotten value out of the stream, once again, tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.